Welcome back to Living Local. The QC Theater Workshop in Davenport is presenting the area debut of the Tony Award-winning comedy, What is Going On? Welcome back to Living Local. The QC Theater Workshop in Davenport is presenting the area debut of the Tony Award-winning comedy, A Doll's House Part 2. Today we're learning more about the plot and performance from a couple of local actors in the production. Joining me in studio, Kitty, Israel and Mike Schulz, actors in A Doll's House Part 2. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for being here.
It's great to be here, as always.
Absolutely. So first, what got both of you involved in theater acting?
Oh gosh, I'll let you start with that because it's not as many years for you. So.
I have a distinct memory of being in kindergarten and I was playing a wiggle worm in a school play and people laughed and I thought, oh, okay, I can get used to that. And I was just sort of hooked, and so I kept doing theater on and off. I was a drama minor in college and it just kind of kept going.
Yeah, the audience feedback is so exhilarating. So what about you, Mike?
Mine's kind of the same story, except I was in 4th grade, I want to say, and I was the lead role in a show called Dash McTrash. It was an ecology-minded show, and I was Dash, trying to make my town a cleaner place. And yeah, absolutely. And like Kitty says, once they start laughing, well, that's all I need.
Right. So I'm good. It is such a cool experience to be involved in a live production. And Mike, you are a local movie expert, and coming up later on the show, you will be talking about movies with Ash, and that's what you've been known on as our show as a movie expert. I'm curious, kind of what your opinion is what are the similarities and the differences of experiencing a movie? Because I know most people go to movies. Theater is a little different, though. You know, maybe people haven't explored it yet. So, what are some similarities and differences?
Well, it's either way. It's about telling stories. It's about wanting to share a certain story with an audience. The thing about theater, and the reason that I love it so much, is that it is literally different every single night, and literally different minute to minute, basically. And so you're with a small group of people, usually smaller than you are at a movie theater, and you're all experiencing this thing for the first and only time. It's kind of like a living thing. It only exists for this 2-hour space, and that's all you get. And that's kind of exciting to me, I think.
And I think a lot of people go to movies to escape. You really, for an hour and a half, you're just somewhere else. And you get the same experience from a theater production, if not more so, because there are live people there, and then they feed off the feedback of the audience. So I think it's a really cool experience. So, okay, let's talk about A Doll's House Part 2. What is its history on Broadway?
Sure. You want to take that one?
It's actually a very recent play. It just opened in 2017, and Laurie Metcalf, who's, I think a lot of people know her from Roseanne, and of course she was just in Lady Bird. She actually played Nora, which is the role that I play, and she was nominated and won, I believe, a Tony for her role. So it's a recent show. Which, of course, the original was written in, Victorian times by Ibsen, and so to kind of see that older show transformed, and even though the show only takes place 15 years after the original, the language itself is a little bit more modern, which is fun. Gives us a little bit of room to play, but yeah, it's kind of very recent, and so we're excited to be able to do something like that that's kind of up and coming still.
Right, and the one that you're in is a comedic sequel to the dramatic classic of just A Doll's House. So what was controversial about this production initially?
This one is legendary among modern theater lovers because it was originally written in 1879, Henrik Ibsen, Danish playwright, and it ended with its protagonist, Nora, walking out on her husband and children at the end of the play. It's a really very intense 3-hour dramatic piece. And of course, in 1879, that just did not happen. And if it did, you did not talk about it, let alone stage it for other people to see. And so this, what's ingenious about this particular script is that we take the idea of what happened to Nora, because everyone who knows that play and loves that play it's something you think about. Did she get success? Did she go back to her family? This takes place 15 years after the original events and shows you exactly what she's been up to and what her return means for her husband and her child and her old childhood nanny, and does it in a really funny but also moving way, in a really thoughtful way. I think it leads to a lot of interesting conversations about marriage and about people's place in society, and conversation pieces all over the place, I think.
So what is it like to play Nora in this sequel?
What is it like? I want to know too.
Intimidating. It's amazing to see this sort of iconic role in a different play, and it's really challenging to kind of take the preconceptions that probably a lot of people have about her and put that into doing this character. And the show does a great job with really kind of establishing, like, she grows up a lot in the second show, and it's fun to be able to take the original and build on it.
Sounds like there are a lot of relatable themes. We all have our own process of growing up, so I'm sure people can relate to that, and marriage, family, those types of things. What role do you play?
I play her husband, Torvald, the man that she walked out, the man she done wrong. She walked out on. And yes, and so 15 years have passed, and now it's you have to deal with how is he dealing with this fact that she literally opened the door, walked out, and never came back. And without, they didn't have phones, but without a letter or anything. He had no idea what happened to her. And he's feeling a little hurt. But if you see the original play, of course, there were plenty of reasons for her to walk out that door. And there's a really good reason for her to knock on the door again and return. But it's fascinating because he's kind of a villain in the original piece, and less so, I think, this time around. So you kind of see everyone's perspective, and your opinions change depending on what characters are talking about, I think. Yeah.
Okay, real quick, where and when can people see the production?
Yes, this is at the QC Theater Workshop in Davenport, 1730 Wilkes Avenue, right off the, it's
just past 5 Points.
That's it.
Yeah.
Great. Looking for that, right past 5 Points, yes. And it's being presented under our pay what it's worth policy, which is unique to theater in this area, where you actually see the play, you don't have to pay anything for tickets, and you just pay on your way out, depending on what it was worth to you personally.
Such a unique concept, and sounds like an incredible performance. Thank you two so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
All right, more information on the show or other productions coming up, you can go to qctheaterworkshop.org, or you can follow them on Facebook. We'll have these details posted on ourquadcities.com. Stay with us. More Living Local is coming up.